feel like we're doing a seance right now. Are you here, Jared?
Hey,
are you with us?
Did you hear about Troy Aikman and Joe Buck on the live mic?
No.
All right, let's get a live mic moment.
Okay.
Going on at the beginning of this pod.
What? Yeah. What is it?
I'll play it for you.
Okay. So just for our listeners out there, a live mic is when
a hot mic.
A hot mic or a live mic is a mic where, like, it's usually during the action of like a sports game or, something like that. And
well, a hot mic just means the mic is recording.
Right.
And on.
But I feel like when we talk about it in the context of sports, it's like it's on and recording during a game, and they're capturing either something kind of funny or
they didn't notice they didn't
know they were on. Yeah. So let's hear it.
Oh, hold on. Let me actually. So let me set it up for you real quick. So they're doing they're at a football game. I believe it's Packers game. I don't know who they're playing against, and they're doing a flyover.
Mm-hmm.
And Troy Aikman and Joe Buck are commenting on the flyover that's happening.
All right, here we go. Hot mic.
Jet fuel just to do a little flyover. That's your hard-earned money and your tax dollars at work. That stuff ain't happening with Kamala Biden ticket. I'll tell you that right now, partner.
Oh, my God. Oh, geez. Can you play that one more time? Sure. Oh, play that one more time, please.
Just a lot of jet fuel just to do a little flyover. That's your hard-earned money and your tax dollars at work. That stuff ain't happening with Kamala Biden ticket. I'll tell you that right now, partner.
Do you think they're joking or serious?
I don't know. That's why I was laughing.
I can't tell.
Exactly. It's really hard to tell if they're being serious or if it's sarcasm. But, I mean, I agree with them to some extent. We do a lot of crazy patriotic things at sporting events and spend a lot of money on it. I mean, it costs money to fly those planes over and do all that stuff.
Overall, the Defense Department spent at least $10.4 million on marketing and advertising contracts with professional sports teams across the board between 2012 and 2015.
Is that how they recruit people in the military, dude? People see the planes fly over during a
the planes
game?
Are dope.
I mean, they are.
I
Hell
want to fly
yeah.
one of those planes.
Right.
I don't know.
That's how they get you.
There is something, though, just about, as someone that does kind of work in marketing, there is something just about getting, like, the brand in your face.
Right.
So,
that's one way to do it.
Just getting you thinking about the quote-unquote brand,
right.
The military. It is there's the subversive marketing where it's like, we don't tell you that we're marketing, but you're thinking about us kind of thing.
Right. Yep.
So, yeah, I'm sure it has an effect. And the planes are cool.
You
like
better
sometimes
believe
they have
it.
like those big ass B-52 bombers going over.
Right.
Those are pretty cool to look
I feel
at,
like
but it does seem pretty stupid and wasteful at the same time.
I feel like we're one of the few countries that really does that, though, right? Like, are there other countries that
I feel like I've seen them at Formula One races.
Okay.
Formula One, though, it kind of makes sense to me because it's like, I mean, this already is
high speed,
the exhibit of like peak technology.
Right.
And it's just like, well, here's the land form and here's the sky form.
Right. All you need is the boat form and you're good to go.
Well, but the thing also is with Formula One is it's international.
Right.
So it's, it depends on what, not every country, they're not doing it at every race. It's just like maybe some countries care more about that than others.
I wonder what other countries do like national anthems before the games. To all of our listeners out there, let us know at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com.
At Formula... go ahead.
If you or your country plays the national anthem before a sporting event. Because I feel like other countries, they tend to save that for like the big international stuff or like Olympics.
Yeah.
But like I would be willing to bet you a lot of places where they have like a soccer or football match or even badminton or whatever in different countries abroad, they probably don't play their national anthem. I don't
locally,
think.
Like if it's just locally. Because in Formula One, they start every race with the national anthem
of
like
the country
they have some
where
local person come in and sing it or something
right.
of where they're at. And then after the race, they play the national anthem of the winner of the race and then the national anthem of the country of origin of the constructor, which is like the
But that kind of makes sense for that context, the Formula
One. It's
international.
Right. It's like a way of like, showing, like
respect, recognition, admiration, or whatever you want to call it.
I guess it would be different for, like at a local Premier League game, are they just playing the English national anthem every day or whatever? That's a good question. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But I don't think also, I think it's fair to say that probably our country's spending the most on military marketing.
Oh, for sure.
That's just a guess.
I think we do have the biggest budget in the world for our military. The amount we spend, it makes sense, I guess,
Yeah.
Whether or not we should be doing that is a different conversation, but
that's true.
Yeah.
So we are, by the way, back in the Azul Moose Studios. It's nice to be back. I still love the backdrop, the blue wave.
Get that camera out here. I just like to look at this background.
Well,
dude. It's
I need my computer for something real quick.
That's true. We were reading. Okay, go for it. Go for it. My apologies.
It's nice to be. Yeah, you
coming in too hot.
I got a whole thing I'm doing.
Okay, fair enough, Jared. Fair enough, Jared.
It's nice to be back. It is dangerous, though. We are still in these COVID times, and it's actually kind of peaking now, but our lifestyle hasn't changed.
Nope.
And I just want to say, after 2 weeks of multiple health screens and asking everyone to quarantine, asking Chad and I to quarantine, I surprised my closest inner circle with a trip to a private island where we could pretend things were normal for just a brief few moments. It was beautiful, really.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, it was beautiful.
Was it?
And so when you see us here, this was carefully planned. We're on a private island that I rented out just so we could feel like things were normal for a bit. Did you hear about this, by the way? Do you know what I was
assuming you're talking about Kim Kardashian and renting on. Honestly, dude, I don't get why people are hating on her so hard, though. Because, look, if you have the money and if you can do that,
it is a little tone deaf. There was also some other rich thing she recently did. Oh, for her birthday, she didn't do this. Kanye did this. But for her birthday, Kanye got her a hologram of her dad.
Interesting.
Robert Kardashian, is that his name?
I think.
Of him, talking to her. That's
crazy, dude. Well, when you're that wealthy, though, dude, what else can you get? Come on, man. Are you going to buy her a bracelet?
There's one thing to be like, listen, I have the money to do this, so I'm going to do this. But just I love how it's with the trip to a private island where we could pretend things were normal.
Must be nice.
Listen, if I did all this testing and screening and I knew everything was safe, there's nothing normal about me living on a private island for a week or whatever.
Right. But it gives you that semblance
especially.
Right.
I was like, it's funny what normal is. Did you see the picture? You probably did.
I think so.
It's ridiculous. I don't know why I'm showing you this, but this is the normal weekend.
Right, on my own private island, rented out, screened, tested, and yeah, you're right. It is. You're right. It is kind of tone deaf.
People were making jokes about it, after blah blah blah, I've decided to eat the final string cheese in my fridge or whatever.
Right. Right.
People were making their normal person comparisons.
I will say though, I can't hate on them for having the money and doing what they want with their money, but it is definitely wasteful, I think, to some extent.
I don't hate on it. I don't have a problem with it. I just find it to be so hilariously tone deaf. You could also just not say anything,
Right.
Or you could also just say that the idea of making it feel normal, there's is I don't know. It's just I just wouldn't share as much as she does. Maybe that's it. And listen, I'm not judging her. You can share as much as you want. No one has any interest in what I have to say anyway. So,
well, that's debatable. I'm interested in what you have to say, Jared.
Thank you, Chad.
That's for sure.
Thank you.
But that is hilarious.
Let's talk about your future, Chad. I believe you mentioned that you had some news regarding your fellowship.
Yeah. Whew, some crazy stuff, man.
Really?
Yes. Oh. So my freshmen are now finally. I have my freshman oral English class, my speaking class, and to my surprise, last week, I looked at my Wechat group for my class, and guess how many students were in that group?
200.
207.
Jeez.
So I will be teaching an online oral English class with over 200 students.
And they're all in the same room?
And they're all in the same online Zoom room or VooV room, yeah.
Oh, but you were saying it's not uncommon for them to be in this. Weren't you teaching
in the
something?
same classroom? Yeah, my graduate students they usually go to a specific classroom.
But they wouldn't have
them
gather
there
on that level.
Well, they have big enough lecture halls where they could, for sure. But
is that very scary to you? I imagine that's obviously the biggest class you've ever taught.
Yes,
but it feels better that it's. I mean, not better, but it seems more manageable online than it would be.
I would argue the opposite.
You much rather be in person, standing in front of 207 people.
Well, not not during the right now times.
If it was not a pandemic.
If it wasn't well, I mean, I'll be honest. If I was back in China, I mean, some of my friends who are over there, teaching again, they are actually, some of them teach with masks on, and the students wear masks because they go more out and about. Whereas like some smaller cities where they're more contained, I don't think they have to wear a mask all the time. I could be wrong about that, but I know
they have a good grasp on like
the
how
numbers.
many people are going in and out of cities and stuff like that.
Right,
so.
and they do that. They have the health screening app over there, and so yeah, they have a lot of precautions set up, which I think has actually turned out to work.
Shocker.
So so my whole point of all this is that I would definitely feel more comfortable doing that over there than over here right now.
Sure. But I mean, I meant even outside of a pandemic, if you would feel more comfortable teaching 200 people in person than over Zoom.
I'd rather do it in person than over Zoom, just because, I just rather would. I don't know why. It's different lecturing in person with all those students. I can walk around. It's just different. Whereas teaching online, I can't monitor what they're all doing. At least when we're in the same room, I kind of have an idea of, are they sleeping? Are they paying attention?
And these are freshmen in
college.
Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, imagine
their first ever college English, oral English class with me online, where I have to monitor 206 other students other than themselves.
Yeah, that's not ideal.
It's not. I'm going to try to roll with the punches and make it work. But
is there? I mean, there's no way you can focus on whether people are paying attention or not.
Not really. I mean, and the other thing is I can't.
Would just be so distracting.
Well, and I can't call on them individually. I mean, it's like I can call on them, but it's like I can't check every student in one lecture. I mean, it's not possible.
On Zoom, do their names show up as Chinese characters?
If they write them in as Chinese characters,
so you just see a whole bunch. So you can't even look at them. You can't even really know their names.
Well, and we actually used Vuv last week, which is like the Chinese version of Zoom, kind of, except there's no breakout rooms. Vuv, if you're listening, please make breakout rooms.
What about
That would
Skype?
help.
Do they do breakout rooms now?
No.
Yeah,
Nope.
Skype is really dropped
Microsoft
the ball.
Teams, though, they're developing it. I hear they're developing it, and they're in the beta testing now. A little insider from my work. So there you go.
Don't tell anyone, people.
Right. But I think I Google it though.
Yeah,
that's
I'm
actually
sure,
how I found out about it. But
I don't think your
but I'd
work
heard
has the
about it.
inside
Yeah,
scoop.
right. We do, Jared. We know that we have the connects with the high ups in Microsoft.
You and
Anyways,
Bill Gates.
that's right. We're homies. We're on a texting basis. Anyways, right. But yeah, so it's pretty crazy though. And I'm not really sure how. I'm not 100% sure how we're going to make all this work, because I found out I had this many students last week. I had been planning the entire semester for 30 to 40 students.
How does that change your game plan?
Everything. I mean, assignments. If you have 30 to 40 students, you can have them. You can have them do individual videos, individual stuff.
You have to factor in how you're going to check things. These
Yep.
things.
How you're going to? I'm not going to do a final exam, because I mean, think about it. If really, in my opinion, if you're teaching a speaking class. So to any of our language learners out here who listen,
so this is a practical speaking class.
Well, yeah. So let me explain.
Okay.
So for all of our language learners who are listening right now, the key here is that when you have so many students, in my opinion, when you want to evaluate like a speaking class, especially after this is only 8 weeks, so it's pretty short. But when you evaluate 8 weeks of speaking, I think it's really important to give your students enough time to really demonstrate their skills. And just think about it, mathematically. So I have 200 and something students. We'll just say 200 because it's an easier number to multiply by, right? If they only do 2 minutes of speaking, that's already 400 minutes of speaking, right? So how long is that? 400 minutes. That's how many hours?
7 hours.
7 hours. That's just to grade one exam.
It's more than that, I think.
For one exam, though. So over 7 hours for one exam, right?
Yeah.
But I think personally, you should really have like a 10 to even 20-minute talk if you have a small enough range of students to really ask them a lot of questions so they can really demonstrate what they've learned, what they know, their vocabulary use. I am a true believer in fair assessments. You shouldn't...
6 hours and 40 minutes.
Okay, so see, there you go. So that's a really long time. And that's just... So I can tell you, dude, my Flipgrid, which is the app we use...
And that's just to look at them. That's like grading is more than just literally looking at it and moving on. So sadly, what's going to happen is I will have teaching assistants do the majority of the grading, actually. I should get 1 to 2 teaching assistants, but here's the other thing. But you still have to...
I have to train them how to grade properly. because I think a lot of Chinese teachers, especially if they're a non-native English speaker, what I have seen is they tend to really grade on grammar. And this is a speaking class. I don't really care about their grammar. Like, yes, I want to know the mistakes and I want the teaching assistants. Right, exactly. But they don't need to.
It's not like a direct one-to-one. Grammar mistake means lower score kind of thing.
Right. And I mean, and for certain assessments, we will assess their grammar. But not for everything. For the discussions, for the majority of the assignments, it's going to be credit, no credit, and then giving them feedback to improve.
And even if you have 2 teachers assistants, you still that's still 100 students per teaching assistant. So you still have to factor in homework length. Like that still doesn't go away.
Well, I mean, and here I'll just show you this WeChat group. I mean,
and that would be on top of their own workload because they're students still, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Jeez.
Yep. So here, just feel free to just. This is the WeChat group. Feel free to just, and I'm the green.
Okay.
So for all of our listeners out there, I just gave Jared my phone. He's looking through the WeChat group, and
so does someone go by the name? Can I say these names? It's not even a real name. Does someone? Is that their
Monsieur? Yeah, people go by. It's like a WeChat avatar kind of. Yeah.
Okay.
Like one of my colleagues, she goes by Sesame. They have all different ones.
Yeah. Raymond. That's a funny one.
I have one that's Cristiano Messi. So he's obviously a soccer fan.
That's a weird one.
But I'm hoping my students will give me a Chinese name.
What do you do with the? Do you have a way to translate these?
Yeah, click and hold. Click and hold.
Oh wow!
Click translate.
This is WeChat?
Yeah.
Wow.
Imagine our WeChat episode I should have just I was in China at the time.
Yeah. But, and I wasn't able to
get it to work.
Somehow I got locked out of WeChat before I even got
right. So yeah, but see, the funny thing is, Jared saw all these messages, and I can't respond to all these messages because they send them at like 4:30 a.m. when it's 4:30 in the afternoon.
And
for them,
you wake up and you got like 40 messages.
I woke up yesterday and I had 67 notifications from there. So I had to basically just read through all those and try to address them in 1 to 2 messages.
How has it been managing your multiple jobs?
Okay so far, but we'll see with this.
Is it because they're like the timing is opposite?
Yep. So it works out perfectly. I will tell you though, my Sundays have been pretty busy.
Yeah.
And it was funny. I was talking to one of my colleagues, and the truth of the matter is, I mean, right now, I don't think I've ever worked so many hours in my life. To be honest with you,
I can imagine that.
Like, it's been busy, but I mean, I'm sitting at home. I can't really go many. I mean, I could, but yeah. So I figure, work, gain a lot more experience during this time, stack this paper, and
I'm with you.
But I will say this: when I initially, it was kind of funny my reactions to the way this all played out. So let me tell you kind of how it played out, Jared. So, I figured out that's how many students. I asked the student monitors, who are like the ones who are responsible for the class. They confirmed I was teaching the entire freshman class of English majors. And then
You're like, just to confirm, these are all my students?
Yep. That's basically what went down. And then I asked my colleague, she's the one who coordinates a lot of this stuff. She's Chinese. And she said, yeah, I'm really sorry, but you're teaching all those students. So I told her, I was like, well, this doesn't seem optimal, but I'll do the best I can.
Yeah, I mean, if it is what it is, then I guess I'll do it.
The one concern I am concerned with, or the one concern I have, is that
I like the first one you said.
The one concern I'm concerned with, to be redundant for redundancy's sake, to be extra. Yeah. Anyways, the issue is I'm only allowed to work a certain number of hours for the fellowship. Like that's what I'm contracted for. And the thing is I think a lot of people, myself included, I go, in a lot of jobs I've had, I try to go above and beyond. I try to do the best job I can do. But what does that mean? Generally, I think sometimes that will mean more time. Right.
Sure.
So, but if I spend too much time, I'm doing extra, and I hate to make this about money, but I'm doing extra that I'm not technically getting paid for.
Sure.
And it cuts into time to do other stuff and for my other job.
It sounds bad to make it about money, but I mean that's what
it's a
job
factor.
is.
Yeah,
it's
a factor.
Sort of a transaction of sorts, and you'd be foolish not to sort of do some time, like math on what is your time worth.
Well, I've been calculating it.
Oh, like actually, how much?
Yeah.
Do you know?
Well,
how
so
do you,
before,
what's your unit?
Well, so I just calculate
dollars per hour or something like that.
Well, I mean, no, what they pay me is what I calculate.
Okay,
but yeah, so I mean, it's an hourly rate for the entire semester. So I'm contracted for 250 hours. for the whole semester. Now, I've been calculating them week by week. I'd have to actually add them up to tell you what I'm at right now. But when I first started, I was just doing planning, and I would plan about 10 to 15 hours a week. Every day for a couple hours, work on PowerPoints, read through materials that I want to use, look for resources, all that good stuff, right? So that was like all of July and August.
Was it hard? Are you a procrastinator? I feel like I would procrastinate hard on that.
No, because there's a lot of other steps to doing it online, and I spent a lot of time trying to flesh out and think about the assignments we would do.
Okay.
Because I'm actually not giving any exams in my classes this semester because number one.
So you have to get creative with how you're going to assess
assessment.
people.
So my grad courses, they're doing a teaching portfolio because I wanted them to do something that is applicable to their life when they graduate. Because I was in graduate school, I wrote plenty of papers.
Teaching portfolio, is that like a resume or something?
Well, so teaching portfolio, they will have. They've already
Like a
written.
CV?
They've already written a syllabus review. They have written a lesson plan. They will write 4 activities, and they will write their
Are these
teaching
teaching
philosophies.
students?
Yeah, these are graduate students in the English department that will become English teachers.
Okay.
Well, a few of them. That's the funny thing. So I have 10 students there, and a few of them are going to become English teachers. A few of them would like to use English in business, and a few of them are hoping to go into like linguistics. So like further academia, probably PhD, I would imagine. So it's an interesting mix, but the goal is. I mean, there's value in this teaching portfolio for every single student, regardless of what they're doing after this, because what they're learning is they're learning on how to write collaboratively, because I'm having them give their peers feedback and react to that feedback and improve their writing. Also, how to write to different audiences and contexts, and also really think about writing a plan. Like a lesson plan is a plan at the end of the day, and even for business, that's a useful skill to have.
Sure,
so,
a business plan is a very important part of a business.
Yep. So but see that I have 10 students, so it's really manageable to read that. Give them feedback, give them resources.
You can,
whereas 200 students, I have varying levels of students, and I do have some students who are minority groups in China. So from Tibet, from Xinjiang, which is where the Uyghurs are, and so I do have some students there. And my colleague told me, it sounds a little harsh, but sadly, I think is the situation over there. She said, some of the students from minority groups, they just don't grow up with the same quality of education as a lot of the Han Chinese minorities do, or majority, sorry. And so because of that, she said their English might not be as good, but I actually had a couple of the students that are from Tibet send me messages on Wechat saying, we're really excited to have you as our teacher, and we're excited for this class, which is nice.
Do they speak Chinese?
Chinese and Tibetan.
Okay.
I don't know if it's considered a dialect. I'm not sure what the right term is for that.
Gotcha.
But so it's been an interesting week to do this, and I've had to rethink my entire course now because of this. But here's the other thing: is that's going to take some time now to figure out how I'm going to do everything.
So does it feel like all that time you spent before was kind of a waste?
Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep, for the most part. A lot of it I'm going to reuse, modify, and adapt because that's what you do. But because
you already had like assignments planned,
right?
And he's
like I was going to do a final.
This,
I was going to do group. I'm still going to try to do group presentations, but once again, the TAs will be most likely grading them, and I'll try to watch.
So
them.
they're going to record,
right?
Because you can't do that live,
right? Well, they're going to. I'm gonna. There's a way that they can kind of do it. I think we'll see. I have a couple ideas, but I gotta iron these out.
Because I feel like
time.
It is useful. Like even though it is virtual, like speaking in front of people is a much different skill than even just speaking in front of a camera. Where I assume most of these kids have at least a basic ability to edit stuff.
Right. Well, it's not only editing, but you have more time to think.
Sure.
And a couple of my students, I'm pretty sure they were reading. So I need to talk to them about that.
But I can imagine
the
you can
challenge
hear it.
is,
you can always hear someone that's reading.
Well, but I will say this: a lot of Chinese students tend to be a bit more monotone because they don't understand the intonation and inflection of
their
English.
Language is so.
Their language is tonal,
tone heavy that they don't know how to apply the non-tone language.
And
I get that.
And it's interesting too, Jared, because when I try to attempt to speak Chinese and it's very poor, Chinese.
When they laugh at you,
they always laugh at me. Thank you. They always laugh at me. But the funny thing is that I feel like I kind of have to sing. Like even when I first my students introduced themselves with their Chinese names, my graduate students, the way they would say their names, and so when I would have to say it, I would almost have to try to mimic or imitate the way they said it.
But it only sounds weird to you. I mean, it sounds weird to them because of your weird accent. But
Right.
the singing part probably doesn't.
It feels weird to me.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Right. Yeah. So it's really interesting. But I have a couple. I want to can I make a couple predictions and then
Sure,
and then in January I want to talk about this again. So stay tuned, people. But I want to make a couple predictions of how this course is going to go down. Okay. With so many students and what I hope to learn from it and where I hope my students will learn. Okay. So number one, we're going to put my students first here. Number one, my prediction is
perfect background music.
Yes, exactly. My first prediction is I really hope my students will. This isn't a prediction, I guess, but a hope, and we'll see if this can be confirmed later. My hope is the students will build a community with their classmates where they can feel comfortable speaking English together. And
do you have any reason to believe that?
Well, let me explain myself here, Jared. Let me explain myself
This is
here.
based off of your previous experience in China.
Well,
so far, I don't understand how that would happen.
Well, this is what I'm hoping.
But
so I'm hoping they are going to work in groups, and I'm going to give them assignments. The plan is I'm going to lecture for an hour, and then that other hour they are going to actually meet in groups.
Are you going to set up the groups beforehand?
That's the teaching assistant's job.
Okay, but
because they're going to coordinate
third
that.
Party,
yes,
essentially.
yeah,
Okay.
but they'll be coordinating that, and then I will be checking in with the students and with the teaching assistant about these groups every week.
Okay.
But the goal here is for them to meet twice a week outside of class, which
so
they
you're
will
like a
do.
Manager. You're like a teacher / manager.
Yeah, exactly. I have no idea how I'm going to write about this course on my CV.
I mean, it seems like
No
great
idea.
experience, though.
Well, yeah.
This
well,
seems like almost what a professor does.
Well, I mean, it is.
I guess, yeah, you are teaching college students. Yeah.
But anyway, so my point here with this, Jared, is that I think that's my one hope, is I hope they can build that community. My goal for this course is students will simply feel more adept or comfortable to simply communicate in English. I'm hoping to, and by the way I'm hoping to do this, Jared, is by giving them a lot of examples and emphasizing to them, especially while they're in their groups, this is the time for them to take risks and try and make mistakes and help each other out. Now, if that will actually happen, we'll see.
Sure.
But I'm hoping if I train the teaching assistants properly, and if I emphasize this enough with the students, and here's my other strategy, if I speak a little bit of Chinese in my lectures with the students, they will see me making mistakes, they will hear my terrible accent, and I think it will make them less self-conscious about their English abilities. I hope.
What I was going to ask was, and I think you kind of
Did I answer your question? Okay.
Was how do you plan on how do you plan on taking if you expect them to step out of their comfort zone or step out of the box and take this risk? I feel like you have to do that too. But you kind of answered that with the speaking Chinese. I think that's an interesting move.
Speaking some Zhongwen.
That seems they're gonna lie. Yeah,
Right.
okay. That seems like a good strategy because that even made me laugh.
San Si. That's 1, 2, 3, 4.
I was gonna say how much Chinese do you remember to where you could just pull it out consistently?
That's
for
one of my
8 months or
favorite
whatever?
words or phrases there, Jerry. Schweige.
What does that mean?
It literally means, I think, handsome guy or handsome man.
Mine's
but,
nigga.
That's a good one. That's a good one. That means that. It's either this or that.
Okay.
It's jigga and
Sometimes they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so anyways, but Schweige is one of my favorites because technically it means handsome guy. But one of my friends who's American who he's engaged to a Chinese woman, has spent he was in the Peace Corps in China for I think 2 years is Peace Corps? I don't remember. But he was there for a long time, speaks okay Chinese, I think, in my opinion. But the funny thing is he knows all these good idioms and phrases and stuff. He'd be fun to get on the podcast, actually. I'd have to talk to him. He's a great guy.
He's in Michigan?
No. He's from Colorado, but he might be back in China now.
Okay.
So we might have to coordinate the timing a little bit. But anyways, he would always, when we would go to restaurants, that's how he would get the waiter's attention, is by saying Schweige. So by calling him handsome man. But that's how some people in China will do that.
Okay,
so it's kind of a cool, kind of interesting, funny. But I even heard my students, or not heard them, but they wrote. I had a couple of them write in pinyin Schweige in the chat when I was doing the lecture.
So you can recognize
Monday.
it in. Oh wait, what's in pinyin?
Pinyin is our alphabet with the symbols of the tones.
I see.
Yeah. So, but I'm hoping to use Chinese. Okay, so that's what I hope the students get out of it. What I hope to get out of it is learning how to better manage, because I think I'm going to have to manage and delegate more.
Yeah.
Number one,
trusting people.
I don't think I'm a pretty trusting person.
Well, I mean, trusting, I mean more like trusting that they're doing what you expect of them is what I mean. Not like that they're gonna steal from you or
right.
something.
Well, that's just more me being clear enough.
Sure, with what you want from them.
Exactly.
Because they'll do what you want.
Right. And I think I have to say, from my understanding of teaching assistants over there, it seems like they are very receptive to, like, it's a hierarchy thing. You know, if you're above them, they do what you say.
Yeah, and it seems like I get the vibe that a lot of the students there are willing to work hard.
Yeah.
Like I feel like you don't
sure.
have to be concerned.
Right.
Like I feel like you're going to be more concerned about the workload being too much before they are.
Yes. Well, but see, the workload is different for speaking. Like the homework, quote unquote homework I'm going to give them will be
Like
learning vocabulary, watching videos, stuff like that. And then they'll talk about some of these things when they meet. I also have a textbook.
So they're teaching in they're not just grading things. They're teaching in their smaller groups too. They're doing some sort of lessons as well outside of just.
Well, not lessons, but just discussions. Discussions, types of, and I'll have them do different activities too.
So they're kind of like going to lead essentially kind of like a cafe stunde.
Yeah.
Kind of like when we were in college.
It's just it's more of a self. Yeah, so that's the thing. But you're right, though. There is a huge level of trust with the students, you know, and you hope that they're not. I have no control if they're actually. Well, what I'm going to do is they're going to do reflections and journals.
Does that hierarchy continue now? You are obviously
the boss man. That's
so
right.
there's the hierarchy there.
That's right, Jared. Don't forget it.
Boss. There's a hierarchy.
That's right. That's right.
There's the hierarchy there, but. Does that hierarchy continue down from TA to student? Like, is there a respect level there automatically? Or is it still like, I mean, we're still all students here.
Well no, the TA, I think, will probably be a graduate
student. So
I would
still,
imagine.
Okay.
I think, or maybe even a senior. I think there's still going to be some seniority where there will be a level of respect. And over there, I can tell you there is a level of respect.
They respect the
even the 1 year difference, man, over there it's different.
Okay.
I mean, it's
well,
really interesting.
I do know in general that they take, like,
age is viewed very differently.
Like
Fun episode idea, dude.
Yes.
Perception of ages in different places. I don't know why I said that so weird. But it's that G in English, man, has all those weird, has all those weird sounds with it. But yeah, so I'm curious so managing and delegating will be, I think, a thing that I'm going to have to really learn to have this course be successful for the students. I've put a lot of thought into this. Of how to do it. Yeah, I'm really trying here because this is definitely not what I expected.
I mean, you're
or what I signed up before.
It seems like you tend to be someone that does not like to be what's it when you like something caught by surprise,
right? Or thrown a curveball.
Yeah, you're a very prepared kind of person.
I try to be, especially with teaching, because you have to be.
Yeah, sure.
You really have to be. But I will say this: I do think. It was funny though. A couple of my students asked me for like my Instagram and like other stuff, and I told them straight up. I was like, "Look, right now you're my students.
Yeah.
When you're done with my class, I'll give you all that stuff. Whether or not you should be using Instagram in China is not my judgment."
What I was wondering.
But
what are you going to do with that?
Right. But I straight up told them. I said, because it was funny. The first lesson.
It doesn't matter to you. You're in a place where it's legal.
Right. The funny thing is that my students, the first lecture we did, I had them ask a lot of questions just because, it was, I wanted to kind of gauge their English levels.
Did you use like the raise hand feature?
Well, that and they, ironically, sadly, in a speaking class with so many students, some did come on the microphone, but a lot of them actually wrote in the chat window. But then I can assess also their grammar and their spelling a little bit differently. So I mean,
it's not terrible, but
right?
Yeah,
but it's not the most ideal situation. But what I've learned so far is you just got to roll with what you got.
Yeah.
But if I do end up teaching again for the fellowship next semester, I will be very clear in the contract a specific number of students, and I can tell you it's not going to be 200.
Yeah. But see, that's something that. I mean, first you don't think that people you just don't think about these things until you have actually experienced.
Well, and I myself and a couple of my colleagues, we are the first VELFs that China has ever had.
What is VELFs?
Virtual English Language Fellow. But see, that's gotta love the acronyms, right, Jared?
You just said that like I was going to know what that meant.
Well, what do you mean you don't know what a VELF is, Jared? You uncultured, But the funny thing is, though, dude, is I was the first fellow at my university, number one. So I feel like that's kind of a challenging and difficult situation as it is.
Sure.
Like you want to make sure you want to set the bar high, but you don't want to set it too high. And that's the other challenge. If you teach this many students, what I worry about is whoever comes after me, if they do this next year,
they're not going to be able to fill your shoes.
Well, it's not that, but it's just. I mean, I'll be honest. It's a difficult position to be in when you have 200 students, especially online. It's just different.
Well, hopefully. They now know to make that clear beforehand.
Right, and myself as well.
Because I think it's one thing to be in this in a situation like this, but it's another thing to learn about it like a week or what is it, a couple days before you have to start working.
4 days before.
Yeah.
4 days.
Right. It's like it's not that you would have not taken the job, but it obviously in June when you were planning for
I would have planned it very differently.
Yeah, you would have known what's happening.
And I think the class would have been a lot better.
Sure, because you'd have the months to do the planning that you did.
Right,
properly.
exactly.
I could see that.
But we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be a great learning experience.
It sounds like this is good for the resume too.
I hope so. We'll see. It's going to be hard. I think it's going to be tough. But it's not tough, Jared. Well, sometimes it's tough.
Yeah, it's not tough to spread some love. It shouldn't be tough to spread some love.
That's right.
Say.
I was actually going to skip that and go to Untranslatables, but
can I do one?
A shout out?
Yeah,
so
can
go
I do
for
one?
it. Go for it. Yeah.
So this is a shout out to my airline of choice.
Spirit.
Funny.
Wow Air. Is that the one that went under?
That was the one that went under. No, my airline of choice is Delta, and actually it was my airline of choice even back before. Because I used to be a Northwest Airlines guy, and then Delta bought Northwest Airlines, and I'm still on the
salty
Delta train. No, I'm not salty. I mean, this is corporate America. This is what happens. But American Airlines shows support for black staff. American Airlines shows support for black staff. Passengers with Black Lives Matter pin is the title. Look at that. Am I crazy, or did I?
Show support for black staff, passenger. This is how you read this, Jared. American Airlines shows support for black staff, passengers. So black staff basically and passengers with Black Lives Matter pin. They probably didn't put the "and" there to save space.
Okay.
In that headline, but that's how I read it. That's
All right. Well, let me. Are there birds running into this
flying
window
in the window?
Potentially,
yeah. I heard a couple of them. Could be the skylight too. We've had birds. We've had birds hit there too.
American Airlines has become the latest major airline to support its employees wearing Black Lives Matter pins on the job. How do companies not get this?
Right.
I mean, Delta clearly does, but like we've seen it with like Taco Bell and stuff.
Right. Well, I just don't get why. Well, okay, I get why companies are cautious because they don't want to offend or lose money. But at the same time, I feel like as Americans, we should all be cool with people wearing. If they want to wear a Black Lives Matter pin, I don't.
It almost seems like a bigger, like you're making a bigger thing of it to make a point to tell them they can't wear.
Correct.
It.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. Especially since, I guess to me at least, it seems like this is not even. It's not even a controversial thing they're saying.
And the thing is too, I feel like the whole point of we're in America, and here we should be able to if you want to support who you want to support.
Freedom of speech is it's a lie, and it's such a lie. Like in the people that support it are liars.
Well,
they're straight up liars.
Well, I don't think it's a lie. I think the way people interpret freedom of speech isn't always very accurate. Is the way I would put it.
I just don't think they actually. I think they believe it for themselves, but not when they.
But that's not free
with
speech,
exactly. Which makes me think that they don't
fully understand it.
Yeah.
Correct. I agree with that for sure.
American Airlines believes in equity and American Airlines.
I will say.
Oh, I thought this was Delta.
I will say this though, Jared. I do get a little. It irritates me a little bit though when people on the left get really pissy if people do wear like a Trump pin. Like I get there's a difference between Black Lives Matter and like wearing a Trump pin because one's political. I think Black Lives Matter is a political movement, but
sort of everything involving race sort of has political like that. That then says no one can ever mention race because race has been baked into the politics of the U.S. and it's a major part of our
culture and our life and society and everything. So, but my point,
any sort of mention of race is now is
going to be political, right? I agree with that. The other thing is too is that but I think if you want to wear a Black Lives Matter pin or a sticker, I think then too you can't you can judge people if they wear whatever, but I think you need to allow people if they want to wear a Trump pin.
Sure.
I mean,
I get that. I mean, that's what we were saying. Right. Like, if you believe in free speech,
Right.
then it goes
exactly.
both ways.
And so,
yeah.
but I think that's great that American Airlines is doing that.
Oh yeah,
They
so let me
should-
say what
yeah.
let me say what happened.
Yeah, how did they show
I totally thought
support?
it was Delta. I feel like I heard anyway. I clearly I was
Maybe
wrong. It
both
doesn't matter.
did. Maybe Delta did it earlier, and that's why you're thinking of it.
Maybe. American Airlines has become the latest major airline to support its employees wearing Black Lives Matter pins on the job. American Airlines believes in equity and inclusion for all, read a statement from American provided to USA Today by Representative Sarah Jantz in light of the appropriate attention in lives, blah, 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 blah. Some American, the appropriate attention, whatever.
Blah 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 blah.
Some Americans, black I get confused. Americans is what they're. Some of American Airlines black employees noticed workers at other airlines sporting Black Lives Matter pins and asked if they could use this, if they could do the same. American Airlines. This is not what I actually wanted to talk about. What I saw was something completely different than this, and this
Okay.
is my fault.
You're good.
There was something, and now I feel like I was right to say that it was Delta. It's deep.
Did you click on the? Oh,
It's deeper in the article. See, this is the only downside of ad blocker. Is
Yep.
Sometimes. Don't make it seem like you have.
That's
a
why I
point
don't
for not
have it.
getting
Yep,
ad
that's
blocker.
why I don't
Yeah,
have
because
it.
you're always going to USA Today, Chad.
that's right, dude.
Here it is. Delta Airlines. Here it is.
You matter to
Ooh.
us.
There we
Delta
go.
Airlines.
This is what I'm looking for.
Upgrades black traveler harassed by white flyer.
There we go.
Okay.
Now that's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
Shout out.
Yep,
Oh, I didn't connect it because I shout out to Delta.
for sure.
This is what I was looking at. Let's just pretend the last 48 minutes didn't happen.
I feel like it's always great to see when somebody, something is, I wouldn't say it was made right, but I think it's good that Delta stuck up for this person and did something nice for them after having to go through something crappy like that, and shame on that white dude for
Hold on,
harassing the passenger.
Oh, have you heard about this story?
No, I haven't.
I'm going to read it.
Yeah.
Demetria Poe is applauding Delta Airlines for taking a stance against racism and discrimination after she was harassed by her seatmate during a recent flight from Minneapolis to Washington, D.C. Poe told USA Today Wednesday that a white woman appeared to purposefully swap her American flag face mask for a Blue Lives Matter mask once realizing her seat assignment was next. I love how she has one ready to go, by the way.
Right.
She's wearing an American flag mask. She's like, oh no, this ain't going
to do.
I need my upgraded racist.
That's right.
I need my
That's
racist
right.
flag.
I
for
need
this
my
one.
all lives matter.
Yeah. Oh, this level's been upgraded to the Blue Lives Matter flag.
Right. Oh man.
Blue Lives Matter supports police, as we know, and is a counter movement to Black Lives Matter, which
Right.
aim to eradicate white supremacy.
Which is so stupid because blue. I mean, a cop is a career. Police officer is a career or a job.
Right.
You can't change. I mean, you can change the color of your skin in theory with medical treatments, I guess. But you're born how you're born.
Rachel Dolezal. In Quiche is is transracial.
Oh, did you hear about
There's a bunch of them,
There was a
bro.
professor that said she was Chicana.
I tweeted about that actually.
Oh, you did?
And I
Okay.
said, how many of these secret? Hold on,
Right.
I need to now see what I because I kind of made myself.
Do we
laugh.
need to give me a fake identity on the Untranslatable podcast?
You're welcome to tweet on it. I said, how many of these undercover white people are out there?
Right.
Yeah.
What should my undercover? What should I put as my
this is what you're
doofy
talking
Twitter?
about. And you can actually see it on her Instagram at the very. Excuse me.
Oh,
her
I know.
LinkedIn.
Yeah. Hashtag Chicana.
Yeah. Assistant professor of African American history.
Right.
Anyway, back to the article. The woman was trying to entice me into an argument because there was no need for her to flip that mask in my presence.
Right.
Is it a reversible mask? She didn't do it for anyone else. It was as if she was making a statement and she wanted me to know. Okay, so now it goes back to American Airlines for some reason. This is one article just all about
Right.
racism. So anyway, what Delta did was they did move her seat and they upgraded her, and then they sent her a letter and a Black Lives Matter pin. That's what.
Oh, nice.
That's what this is.
Oh, cool. It has a little Delta logo. Nice.
Yeah. So
Okay.
I think
I will say
that's some great.
I will say
customer service right there.
I will.
I think I'm knocking. I think
we're good.
The cord.
Yep. We're good.
With
We're
my
good.
cord.
I will
hope
say
you didn't hear that.
I will say this though, Jared. I do. I do think it's good that they're supporting them. I do think some of this does come from a capitalist. I hate to take it here.
Yeah, of course,
but,
bro.
But some of it. But it's a good gesture.
But what is
It's a good gesture.
Everyone?
All right, back
I
after
have a bad
some
XLR cable.
technical
We fixed
difficulties. We fixed it, and I think you know what time it is, Jared.
I do. I'm not ready, but I do.
Well, we missed the gun by on the actual clock, but it is time for some untranslatables, which are idioms, proverbs, axioms, phrases that don't translate on a one-to-one basis into English. And I will start us off again today, Jared, with some Brazilian Portuguese, and it is encher linguiça, I think.
Is that language or words or something?
No, it actually means to fill spicy pork sausages.
Interesting. So that might be a false friend because it kind of sounds like linguistic or something.
It kind of does, doesn't it? But yeah,
to fill.
Basically to fill sausages. But I think linguiça. I don't know if I'm saying it right. That is pork sausage specifically.
Is that that sounds like someone is like full of BS, like BS, talking a lot of BS, like you're just shoving BS at someone.
I'll give that to you. Yeah, it's to talk about meaningless details or meaningless issues in detail.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you're filling up spicy pork sausage,
we have that's how the sausage is made.
Mm-hmm.
Like you don't want to see how the sausage is made because then you're not gonna like it.
You're
anymore.
talking about these meaningless issues in detail. Yeah.
Okay, so I have 2 Danish untranslatables today, and actually I want to do a Welsh one first. I forgot I had another one. I like this one. All right. You think I'd be prepared after last episode?
No.
when I had no idea how to pronounce untranslatable. Let me start with the other one, and we'll come back to that one. So let's do the Danish one. Okay. Tak for kaffe. You could probably translate
something
that.
With coffee. Time for coffee.
Thanks for coffee.
Thanks. Oh, thanks for coffee. Mm-hmm. Is that like thanks for your 2 cents? Or I didn't ask your opinion.
No. Let's. It's
not your business.
No, it's more of like a response to something, like for example, actually, you. I mean, it has. By the way, this doesn't have anything specifically to do with coffee, other than it's obviously in the. But you. So when I give you this example, don't be thrown off by the fact that I'm going to use coffee as an example.
Okay. I'm already thrown off, but that's okay.
You've been ranting about this coffee, about how delicious it is, and how much you enjoy it, and then you gave me a cup, and I say, "Tak for the coffee."
So
this is good
stuff. That's good stuff.
No. It means it's just wow. It means wow. It's like
it means wow.
Like a response.
I like that. Okay. Like holy moly.
Kinda, I guess so. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. We need to think of a cool untranslatable one for wow. That's just random.
I love how in English there is sort of that like we'll slap my aunt and call me Sally kind of thing. It's
right.
Well, twist my nipple and call me Jenny. It's like that's kind of like some Southern thing where that kind of means wow.
I'm surprised. Like I can't believe what I'm seeing.
Yeah, like consider me surprised. Right. That's a real like old school Southern thing.
Well, Jared, if you want to relate your untranslatable to mine, maybe this will help you figure mine out. My next one is Tibet or Tibetan, I guess, and it is sam gi mi gyap. I think. I'm sure there's tones and I mispronounce it, but it literally means something that the mind cannot capture. And we would use like one word in English for this. Or we would say we wouldn't say unbelievable, although Bananas. It kind of means that. Well, no, we would say
that's crazy.
Starts with a U. It's deeper than crazy.
It is not unbelievable.
It's not unbelievable.
That's not unremarkable. That's remarkable would be the
irregardless. What's a synonym for unbelievable? I'm just being really nitpicky.
I'm trying to think.
Here.
I'm trying to think of what it would be. Uncomprehensible.
You're getting kind of
okay.
There's an F in the word.
Unfathomable.
There we go.
Okay.
There we go. Yeah, but I love it. Literally, it means something that the mind cannot comprehend. Right?
Yeah.
I guess this one goes almost opposite ways. Right? We have one word for it. We both can't say this word today.
Unfathomable.
Thank you. And I like that it literally means something that the mind cannot capture, which makes sense. I mean, that's what unfathomable is.
I wonder if the Germans have a good one word for that. Because usually, if I think of a solid phrase that can be made into a word, Germans are pretty good. Good at that.
Something that the etwas das Gehirn nicht wahrnehmen kann. I mean, that would be the whole sentence. Something that the brain or mind can't comprehend.
Unwahrnehmsinn or something.
Unwahrnehmen Gehirnbarsamkeit who knows?
All right, let's do this Danish one. Let's do this Welsh one, and I'll have the computer say it for us. The computer.
Do you have Arabic in there? Did I see some Arabic? Sorry, I
did that last episode.
Oh, that's right.
We do these on the same day, if you didn't notice. Okay, that sounded like an alien.
Yep.
Yep. If I heard that in the middle of the night, I'd be terrified.
I'd be freaked out, for sure. That or I'd go unplug my computer.
Now, obviously, this is just full robot. Calcium arid ochard.
What does it mean? What does it mean?
Oh, oops, I didn't mean to do that.
It just goes on a loop.
It never stops. It means to have a disappointment on the best side.
Oh, so it's like blessing in disguise, silver lining.
A little different.
Okay.
Little different, but obviously close to that.
Like to get out of something unscathed.
It's a little more positive than that, but
positive. But that's positive.
Sure, I guess so.
What does it mean? Oh, did I convince you? I persuaded you?
Now that you convinced me.
It's the power of mind manipulation.
The judges tap me on the
people.
shoulder. They're like, come on.
We'll allow
it. To be pleasantly surprised.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I just didn't really...
It's a good one.
I mean, maybe I'm now being picky because of how you treated me on the last one. Unbelievable wasn't strong enough, so I'm...
That's fair. Jared's a little salty, people. It's okay. It's all right. When we talk about our main topic today, he'll feel less salty. But first, let me give you my last Tibetan untranslatable today, which is Nagagyal, which means the victory of the eye. And this is also one word, Jared. What would you call that? The victory of the eye.
Internal victory? Maybe it's like...
Well, yeah, we have one specific word for it.
Oh, okay. Wow, we're really... Okay.
Yeah, we're starting big to small this time. We usually go the other way around, but today I figured I'd change it up. You've been too good. I had to make you check your...
Yeah, no, you're
make you check the victory within the eye for you.
You really are turning my whole game on my head.
I am.
Okay, victory of the eye. But this is a one word in English?
One word, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Victory of the eye. Shoot.
I mean, it's kind of related to your ego, kind of, a little bit.
Victory. Is it just like a victory of the eye? Is that to be humble?
You know, if you hurt your, I would say it's kind of the opposite of humble.
To be proud.
And what's it? You're like so
overly
close.
Proud.
You're so close.
Arrogant.
Starts with a P. It's related to the word proud, I think.
I know, but oh no.
So if you feel proud,
I'm gonna know the word when you hear it.
Yep. Let me try to explain it. I feel like it's related, I think, to the word proud. They're very close.
Okay.
I mean, actually, you're only off by a couple letters. Now it's too specific, but I think you can figure it out.
You're losing me.
Proud.
Proud
is proud.
Yeah.
And this word also starts with a P. Doesn't end with a D, but has a D sound in it. We say the comes before the fall.
Rise?
The comes before the fall.
The prestige. I don't know. What comes before the fall? I have no idea.
Okay. What do you call a group? What do you call a group of lions?
Pride. Oh.
Pride.
Oh, I was thinking of a completely different word.
No, pride. Yeah.
Oh, so it's
has a P and a D.
So
pride.
It's not to be proud. It's not like the act of being proud, but
it's pride. It means your pride.
What is it again?
The victory of the eye.
That makes complete sense.
Which is pride.
I think you lost me a little bit because I don't realize we're talking about the same word, just in a different.
Form.
My bad. I was thinking of a completely different word.
Right. And I'll take the blame for that one. I didn't do the best job as your teammate explaining it.
We can both take the blame for that one. It's okay.
But I think that's an interesting phrase, the victory of the eye, because I think that kind of relates to what we're talking about today a little bit with our topic today is are people getting smarter, or are we just getting better at finding more information? And I will tell you, Jared, I truly believe overall, I think we are just getting better at finding things.
I think smart is not just having access to information, but knowing what to do with that information.
Right.
So, like, just because you can look up how fast a spaceship can go, it's like, other than now you know that, what can you do? Like, you can't.
Right.
You don't know how to, like, apply that information.
And I don't think just knowing a bunch of random facts makes you smart.
Makes
exactly.
You have a good memory.
Right.
More than anything.
Right. But I will say this though, Jared. I do think that
smart is not knowing things. Smart is how you apply yourself.
Well, I think.
Right?
That's a good
like
question.
how you apply your knowledge.
Right. Well, yeah.
And so it's easier.
not only how to apply knowledge, but also how to identify certain things. And I think a lot of smart people. I think you could, if we were to like make like a word map of smart.
Well,
right. I think creativity would be one branch of smart. I think one branch would be.
There's also street smart versus school smart.
Right.
Yeah. Where it's like, just because someone. There's always a thing about like, this nerd is smart in school, but they couldn't like handle themselves in the real world.
But I feel like we also view people who, for example, have like really broad vocabularies as being smart.
Yes.
People who speak multiple languages. I have a lot of respect for those people, But I think nowadays...
I think speaking multiple languages is a sign of smarts, though.
Or intelligence, maybe.
I think that is a sign. Now, maybe big words is too... But I think less so than actually having a working knowledge of another language. I think that's like your intelligence applied to, because that's more than just memorization. Like you have to memorize words, obviously, but to properly apply it, it's more than just memorizing stuff.
But I will say this: I think in some regards, I would say that our lifetime right now, like or what's happening currently in 2020, I would argue we live in the information. Right now, at least, in some ways, I think we live in the information. I don't know if golden age is the right term, but like a term. Oh, got the phone ringing. Sorry, people.
Phone.
That's right. Got a landline still. And it'll probably say who it is, too. It'll be like, call from toll-free call.
Shocker
so
that it's not a legit
telemarketer.
caller.
Yep, telemarketer.
Everyone in chat's
Go
family
figure.
has a cell phone.
Right. I think we only have the landline because it's a bundle kind of junk.
Probably.
That's
that
how they get you. That's how they get you, people. Get the bundles.
I will say this, though. I think that, now, obviously, I don't think we are smarter, but I think because we have access to so much information. Oh, before I say that, so by being in the information super age or whatever you call it, what do you call it?
Golden age.
Does that mean that we're not gonna? There's no way we can get more.
Well, I think it would get better. That's why
it'll get easier.
Right. Well, that's why I think golden age is probably not the right term for it. But I think right now, at least in the terms of the amount of information available to humankind, we have never.
Well,
and it'll grow more.
Sure.
But I mean, at this moment in time, I don't think we've ever had something like the internet and just all the stuff we have.
I would argue that we're probably close to like it'll get easier to find information, but I think we're pretty close to like getting access to all of the information that we have knowledge of, I would say. So like obviously there's stuff we don't have knowledge of that's out there, but I would say that like when we'll talk about this probably like microchips and stuff, I'm sure we're going to talk about that. Or at least I was planning on it.
Okay, cool. Yeah, we can talk about it for sure.
I think with stuff like chips implanted into you, it'll become easier to get access to that information. But that's information that we have now. It's just easier to access when you just have to think about it and it goes into your brain or something.
Right. Yeah, I think the other fascinating thing, though, too, is that the one difficulty about navigating, especially I think the reason why we're even having this discussion really is because of the internet. Right. I mean, if you think about it, because we've had books and we've had knowledge, quote unquote, for centuries, for, years and years.
There's definitely been a large part of history where the knowledge and information has been contained to the higher classes.
Right.
Being able to access that information.
I think it still kind of is to some extent.
I don't know, dude.
Let me argue this
areas, and everyone has a cell phone, and I mean outside of America.
But what I mean is that there are always going to be certain gatekeepers of certain knowledge and certain things.
Okay, yeah.
That's so what I mean.
But I think, I guess that's fair.
Like even super elitist clubs and groups.
I would say that there is. I'd say I don't know if I agree with you, but I would say there are there are organizations at B where it benefits them, whether it be financially or whatever, or what, depending on what sort of relationships they have with whoever they have their relationships with, it benefits them to talk about something more than they talk about something. Like, obviously I'm talking about mostly like any site or whatever, or organization that it's dispelling news. There's definitely a lot, like they pick and choose what they're talking about.
Well, of course.
And so there is a certain level where it's like most average Americans, I mean, but they still have access to that news that the mainstream sites or organizations aren't giving them. It's just you have to find it. It takes, it takes more work.
I'm very skeptical and becoming increasingly more skeptical of just mainstream media.
Sure, of course.
Yeah. I really am.
Yeah, just the whole what their motivations are.
Right.
I mean, we've already seen a lot of media sources be just exposed for frauds. I mean, like
well, and they can paint here's the thing is it's not only about access to information, but it's the narrative around that information. I think there are some journalists out there that do try to stay factual and present the facts.
But it's not even just like CNN, MSNBC, and
Fox News, Fox and Friends.
It's also like what is that? Is it Sinclair Media, that giant conglomerate that owns?
Tell you.
There's like one conglomerate, or there's a few, but there's like one or two conglomerates that own like the vast majority of local news stations in the United States, and it's been proven that it's on certain lines or certain sort of things, certain sort of areas, they give them very specific. What do you call it? The thing that you read?
A book?
the thing
pamphlet?
The thing that someone that acting reads.
A script.
Yeah.
A script.
Thank you.
Yeah.
They give, that word eluded me. They give very specific scripts on what you can say on certain topics.
Right.
And this is and that's like local news, which kind of generally gets a better reputation as far as, even though they don't tend to talk about much hard hitting.
You know what my one concern is about like younger generations with growing up with the internet and having all this knowledge so quickly at your fingertips is that people will lose the appreciation for being able to think. Because I think there's a difference between thinking through something and simply looking it up.
So you think because everyone has so much access from such a young age, the idea of proper education is going to start to be devalued because of it?
Well, I don't even know if I find the term proper education problematic.
Proper school book learnings.
No, I mean,
what do you mean?
I mean,
why is it problematic?
I mean the ability to think.
Okay, so not in school.
I would even, I think
critical thinking in general.
Critical thinking in general, which I mean, a lot of people can learn in school.
Sure.
But I think that the issue is when you have access to so much information, one, it's hard to disseminate what's true, what's false, what's factual, what's opinion, unless you really, you either read everything with a really skeptical eye,
which 99.99% of people don't do.
They don't, and it can be a little taxing sometimes. I'm not going to lie to you to read something and be super skeptical about everything, and then you got to fact check it, and it's a lot easier. The media wants us to just read it and accept it for what it is,
especially with how fast everything moves. Where it's like by the time you actually learn what really happened about some sort of scandal or controversy, we're like 6 scandals on from that. People aren't even interested to really hear the conclusion of things or like what actually happened. It's just like we get the first hit of it and then we move on, and we don't even ever get the full story of what happened after.
Well, and that's the issue. Is I think like really thorough thinking and thought takes a long time.
So it seems like you're arguing right now that we're almost getting dumber. It sounds like.
Yes and no. It's a harsh way to say it. Right. Well,
I realize you wouldn't say it that way.
But see, that's why I think it's so important for people to continue to. When I say read, I don't mean just read an article online or scroll through your Facebook feed. That's not reading. I mean, pick up a hardcover or paperback book, or get a tablet or a Kindle, or even on your cell phone. I don't care, and read some books. And I don't care what the topic is. I don't care if it's basket weaving. I don't care if it's a biography about Alexander the Great. I don't care if it's Meditations by Marcus Aurelius, which I'm reading right now. That's my concern.
My counter to that would be, and now I'm sure that's the case, but then I would say, now what would be the weighting of that relative to people that now have access to information that they would never have access to before? And what I mean is, so for example, like when I was in Tanzania in this poor little village, a lot of not everyone, but a lot of people still had smartphones. Like they had like a smartphone that's almost as the same as my iPhone. Maybe they didn't have iPhones, but they still had just like a smartphone.
Yeah, and they had internet access on their smartphones.
That I did, essentially.
Right.
And I think what I'm getting at is people that never or historically have not had access to great education. Right. I feel like giving them almost an equal level of access that we have here gives them a lot more opportunities to access intelligence that they were never able to access before because they didn't have access to information. So they didn't even realize that maybe they had a knack for, I don't know, thermodynamics because they never had access to any sort of information on it.
I agree with you. Yes, that is true. However, I think there's a few points you're not considering.
Okay.
For example, so yes, people in a lot of different countries, even what we would consider maybe developing or third world. I really don't like the term third world. It's old fashioned, I think. Yeah, I agree. But developing country or whatever, where not every house may have running water or electricity or whatever. But yeah, a lot of people do have smartphones. But here's the difference, though, Jared, between over there and some of these places and then a place like the U.S. And even in the U.S., I can tell you because I did my master's thesis on accessibility to technology for foreign language learning. You're making a lot of assumptions about access to technology that I think on a surface level is true, but then when you break it apart and really look at it. So for example, so let's say I only have a cell phone that I can use to access information, right? I may not have access to a printer, so everything I have to do and learn is on my cell phone.
It's not ideal.
Right.
I didn't say it was ideal.
But my whole point here, and for example, my speaking class.
I don't even like reading articles. Right. Like if I'm reading an article, I'm like, I'll just wait till.
Well, dude, my students who are taking my speaking class for my fellowship, some of them I know are watching on their cell phone. Well, you have to interact with the medium differently. So, for example, if they were watching on a computer, they could be taking notes on the computer right there.
Sure.
They could be looking at the PowerPoint slides, and it would be easier to see. So. Accessibility at different levels is different.
It's very fair to say that I did oversimplify it. Now that I hear it that way, that makes perfect sense. Right. Yeah.
But I do agree with you that at the bare minimum, yes, they could access that information. They can, but this brings us, I guess, to the next kind of topic that we wanted to discuss today, which is they have to also know how to find the information and know what to do with that information after they find it.
And then that information is in parallel with the information that you're getting from your family or people around you.
And also talking about accessibility, different countries also have very different internet censorship laws. Sure. So I think about my students in China. There's a lot of great educational apps or like tons of YouTube videos. I would love to show them, but I can't.
Yeah, and I got to imagine that the people in the village in Tanzania that I'm talking about don't have fiber optic access like I do.
and what if their English isn't great? How many resources do they have online in their language? That's
true.
So I think there's a lot more barriers here.
Yeah, I oversimplified it, I think.
Yeah, but but that's okay, and that's why we have these discussions.
Sure. But there is something, I don't know. I guess that's true. I just feel like there's more of like opportunity to be part of the conversation. And I still feel like that's kind of I sound like you being all rosy-eyed.
You do, I guess. It's weird. We're switching places a little. That's good though. It's good. Change it up,
But you make a good point. And honestly, the access to more information is clearly, I mean, we were talking like about this with your mom earlier. Like, it's not proving to, like, there's still no consensus on what it even is not the proper knowledge or not. I mean, we see nowadays just the mass levels of denial of science, and it's like, all right, if we can't, I'm not saying these science that work for government organizations or administrations are are perfect messengers or whatever.
Right.
But it's like if we can't trust a scientist, who can we trust?
Right.
There's no authority on anything.
Especially like if it's at an international level where numerous scientists from numerous different countries, right?
Yeah, like if there's agreement in scientific papers that no one's ever
and if it
read.
even spans different political boundaries. So if you have
Exactly.
communist countries that are confirming the same thing that capitalists or democratic or
Exactly.
social democratic or whatever, it's
just
I agree.
Like it's just like if we can't even come to a consensus on what reality is,
Right.
then there's no way to say we're smarter if there's no sort of agreement on what smart is.
But once again, this kind of still goes back to the access issue where like I really wonder, what people at, like, for example, I work in academia, right? So I always am thinking about universities and like especially my Chinese students who need to do research, and how much of the Western academic articles can they access? And how
Do
much
people read those? I mean,
you have to when you do.
Sure, I
when
guess if
you
you're in academia, you read them.
I published something in the working papers at MSU when I was still in grad school, and I had to have. Well, I mean, they didn't give you a specific
Is that
number.
what a peer
but-
review is, and then someone comes in and review? That's what.
and they make sure
Okay.
you're using credible sources and stuff that's been empirically
and then that turns what you're saying into. I mean,
Makes it valid or credible.
It like turns it into a science. Essentially.
you are. Yeah, and in different fields, you kind of confirm that through different, methods. But I think that the important thing, though, once again, is this idea of gatekeepers of access, where and some of it is, I think some of it is certain governments do want to keep their general populace not as, I wouldn't say not as intelligent, but not as aware of certain things, because that could sway things politically that they wouldn't like.
We want it benefits our administration to have people believe that global warming, or excuse me, I shouldn't say
Climate
warming.
change.
Climate change is not as big of a deal as it is,
Right.
or we don't have as big of an impact as these people say we do. Obviously, yeah. I would say it's not all government. I mean, I'm not gonna say conspiracy. This is not. This is just truth. But it's not all like government suppression. It's not all like. Big media trying to George Soros trying to control the media, because I would say that, like, I remember. Did you just check your pulse?
No.
Oh.
Just in my Adam's apple, actually. Yes.
I was like, okay, still alive.
Yep. Yep.
I remember, this was a couple years ago, but I was at, not my grandma's house, but my cousin's grandma. So, like, whatever. I was at, I'll call her my grandma. It's easier that way. I was at my grandma's house, and she was talking about how, when she was a kid, she didn't know about periods, and it just happened, and she still no one still really explained it to her.
Right.
No one really talked about sex, or no one really talked about like drugs, or like gave them any preparation on like what to know about drugs or alcohol or anything like that.
Right.
And I think for a lot of people, like our parents' generation and older, still kind of today, to be honest with you, like a tactic for making sure your child is properly, like, not going down a wrong path was just like the path of ignorance.
Right.
Like that was
hard to do that nowadays.
It's a lot harder to do it nowadays, for sure.
Unless you really monitor or have those like child locks on all the stuff your kids are using.
Yeah, but then
they still find ways around it.
And if you're living to that level of control, then you probably have a bigger problem.
Well, not necessarily.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with but if you're controlling your kids' technology to the point where they don't know what their period is,
I didn't mean it that way. I meant it more.
I know what you mean.
Right.
But like I feel like that is just a parenting technique that is sort of going away, but it still exists. Or it's just like the technique of keeping your kid ignorant about stuff. Like I remember one time, I used to listen to a radio show in podcast form. It was called Loveline. Dr. Drew and some other guy, they would have a bunch of kids come in or call, kids and anyone, not just kids, but obviously kids called in, and they just ask questions about like sex and like sort of, like I got stuff draining out of my D. What does that mean? Okay. Or like like psychological questions, like my parents are like my dad's an alcoholic or something like that, and like I was talking to my mom one time when I was talking about like heroin and and what's
Different
the poppies
substances.
and like the
Oh,
just
okay,
how
yeah.
that's all connected and all that stuff.
or-
Opium.
Yeah,
thank
yeah.
you. And she's like, "Oh, why do you know this?" It's like I don't like it. She's like, "I don't like how much you know about this."
Right.
And I'm like, "But wouldn't it be better? Like I know
better to
that
know the
it's
risks and know- yeah.
Wouldn't you prefer that I know what the risks are?
But that might be a
and where
genera-
this stuff comes
Right.
from.
But see, I think that might be a generational difference where I think because we can hopefully find that information, we go looking for it.
Right.
Whereas, I feel like there are a lot of older generations where they didn't grow up in that way. So sometimes I think people
People are afraid of not information. I mean,
right.
that's very true.
Yeah. And I feel like there are definitely some people out there who are quote unquote truth seekers, where
Yeah.
they really do try to find out things on their own accord.
So maybe because back
know.
in my mom's day, the only way that you could know this much information about
Is
like
if you were a
heroin
drug
and its
user.
connection to the pills
Right.
in epidemic is if you were using
Right.
them. Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Which makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas, because they didn't have the internet.
right.
So
the only way you knew it is if you saw it.
Right.
Yeah.
Or experienced
yeah.
it. Right. Whereas nowadays, but see, I think we will benefit a lot from this. But this brings me to my next point that I wanted to bring up about today's episode, which is that I really think we are going to have to change or look at how we analyze, view, and think about this information. We've never really been put in all of mankind that we know of. We've never had this type of so much information, also not all true information, so available. And so I think this will change the way we think, the way we view knowledge and learning and knowing things. I think arbitrary dates and facts probably won't have the amount of importance anymore as they used to.
What do you mean? Like July 4th, 1776, you mean?
Right, exactly. I think that like certain facts and things like this that you can easily find online and it is credible. I think we're going to education will change.
We do need to get to a point, I think, and we're by no means there because we're so early into this.
Right.
There needs to be some sort of vetting process where they can tell you that something is true or not.
Well, I mean,
they do it sometimes on Twitter. And Instagram.
They have Snopes. You have peer reviewed for science. You have peer reviewed stuff.
But
well, it's all about standards, and it all depends on what you're viewing. And so that's also another thing I think is important to bring up is that we have so much stuff now that you can just consume, right? So that's why I think nowadays we aren't actually getting smarter, because I don't think on average, and I don't know the actual number breakdown, but I would imagine the majority, at least if we're talking about Americans, the majority of Americans, I don't think spend their time reading, learning. I think they spend their time watching Netflix, watching Hulu, watching whatever, and not, and I'm not perfect. I'm not saying you need to be a monk and read 20 hours a day.
So just learning, as we said before, just learning more facts or knowing more stuff doesn't make you smarter, because there's no real application to it. It's just like, I learned that this stat about what's happening.
Well, let me say this. I do think we need to be very careful here how we phrase this, because I do think knowing more stuff could contribute to being quote unquote smarter.
Sure.
But I think consuming more things and assuming that means you know more stuff is not true.
Sure,
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So,
obviously knowing more stuff is a step to becoming smart.
Right. But I
just
think
because you know stuff doesn't mean you're smart.
exactly. The issue is many people can take that for granted, that because we have so much information right at our fingertips. A lot of people don't necessarily know how to interact with it, don't know that it's what am I trying to say here, Jared? What I'm trying to say is that just because you can find something and read it does not necessarily mean that you're any smarter. I think you really need to. The beauty is now there are a lot of courses. You have to do something with the knowledge, I think, to really improve. Does that make sense?
So if I know a lot about history, does that doesn't make you smart?
No, okay.
But
this is how I would view
knowing that, like not just knowing the facts of history, but knowing like how that properly affected or like how, I don't know, the wall affected trade, and I don't know. I'm just making.
So here's history is a great example of this, actually. So you can nowadays, especially if you have quote unquote free internet access where things aren't censored,
you've collection
to some degree, then you can look up stuff. But here's the whole point of history, Jared. A lot of people wonder, why do I even learn history in school? What's the point? The point is to learn from what we did in the past so we don't repeat it in the future. So the point of learning history is I think a good historian also can kind of predict. Look at what's happening now, and based on what we know about human nature, ourselves, history, we can see what's going to happen.
I mean, this pandemic was predicted.
Right. So, and we had a pandemic almost 100 years ago, 1918.
Yeah.
And so the whole point is that, yes, we have access to tons more information, way more information than we ever have before. In a quick and easy way. You go on Google, you go on Baidu if you're in China, and different countries have different, you have these search engines, you have all this stuff. So we have all this infrastructure for information. But to me, that's only surface level. We need to go further than just. So we have somewhere where we can post and read and store and learn information, but it's that application stage to me is what would make us quote unquote smarter.
It seems like the incentive for that is going down so much because of the way that we're communicating so much through social media.
Right.
And where in what is sort of perceived as smartness through the lens of like social media,
Right.
Where it's not really in-depth analysis of anything unless you do a thread. But it's just our concept of smartness. I think partially because of social media has a lot to do with spewing off. Well, I guess it's even before social media, but I don't know. It's not in what is currently valued is not sort of in-depth analysis. It's sort of quick. Having a quick answer is kind of considered smarts,
right?
And being first and sort of the snapbacks sort of where it's like you were able to dismantle someone quickly, or it's like that you're not like
a quick comeback.
Does that mean that person is smart because they're good at sort of dismantling some?
I think it's just
bunch
being
of conservatives
witty
on social media or something,
right? Or vice versa.
Well, sure, yeah. I just chose one side, but there's actually Ta-Nehisi Coates, who I would consider legitimately, smart, a scholar. He purposely got off of Twitter because he's like, this is not the medium for me. He's like, I'm a writer,
right?
And obviously he probably got into some hot water saying some stuff. He's like, this isn't worth it to me. This is not my medium.
Right.
I'm a long form writer, and that's how I can clearly give you my entire opinion.
Right.
So why am I wasting my time getting caught up in these stupid Twitter arguments when this is not my...
And that's my concern too, is that because we get information at such a quick rate now, and I mean, think of just all the apps where you just endlessly scroll. It's not about reading something that's difficult or hard to process or hard to think about.
Your eye quickly.
Exactly. And it's so fleeting, I feel like. But knowledge is powerful. Knowledge is not fleeting. That can be our motivational quote right there, Jared. Knowledge is powerful. Knowledge is not fleeting.
Yes.
I mean, whenever you learn anything new, whether it's learning...
Facts are fleeting. You can remember a fact, forget a fact.
Like, I could tell you what year the Telecaster was first brought out, but what does that really do? That doesn't... but if I could...
that up.
Right, but if I can tell you how that affects...
the wood they were using back then in comparison to now, and how that could change the sound.
Exactly. And so I think a big thing is that the quickness of just reading or getting facts, information, whatever you want to call it, is not the same as becoming smarter, I don't think.
Well, you got to be first. It's all about being first.
But I don't think that's what smart is. We in an online format, that's kind of how it's viewed, but that's not really how it is, right?
Besides for all the agendas and stuff, that's really another aspect that's ruining, the big media companies.
Right.
Is that it's not like they don't give a story. There's no benefit to give stories time to mature and time to get kind of a fuller story of what's happening. Or it's like, no, because then... this person's going to come out with it first, and we're going to look like we're just copying them and follow. It's like, you got to be first. That's how you get all the clicks and shit.
But I feel like if
we don't have the full thing, we'll keep updating you as more comes out.
But I feel like nowadays I don't know, I just think of the things in life that I really not only like know, but things I enjoy and love are things that have taken a long period of time, right? Or you know, and so I worry that because we can get everything so quickly nowadays, that people won't value the hard work. Like, I feel like so many people just want everything now.
Well, that's the thing, is when they do have that sort of mentality of, all right, let's get it out first and we'll continue updating it as it is. These organizations know, I'd imagine, that it's the first big break of a news article that gets the most clicks and reads.
Right.
Way less people are doing the follow-up for more information on the full story.
And people don't care.
And so, honestly, I think that's sort of going towards people are kind of becoming dumber.
Right.
Because it's like no one is giving, way less opportunity is given to give the full story because it really is. I've seen that so many times where it's like, we'll update you when more information comes out, where it's like, yeah, but this is an active story, so more information is coming out as I'm reading this. It's not like, okay, there's a trial in 6 months and we'll update you then. It's like, no, they're still investigating and they're going to come out with the investigation tomorrow, but we heard about it, so we got to tell you first. We couldn't even wait a day or whatever.
Well, and I think nowadays we are becoming so inundated by just facts, information, distractions, just all this is coming at us at once. If you're online, you know, all the social media platforms, whereas like think about how people learned their trades or their whatever back in the day, or
there were like front page articles, and those were like the clickbaity popular articles, but that's like, I don't know, what, 10 articles or whatever it is, and now it's like it's just a never-ending stream of what's the top popular thing happening.
And so at the same time, I feel like nowadays it's just so easy to get so distracted, and I think that's what quote unquote would make you dumber in a way. You know, I feel like
not focusing on
like I really try to spend my time on YouTube now watching videos that are about philosophy. Jared always gives me shit because I have been coming up with more philosophical topic ideas. But you know, I try to, when I go on YouTube, and I try to not watch very much cable TV. I watch sports on cable once in a while. Occasionally, a couple shows I enjoy, maybe an episode or two at night. Lately, though, we got HBO Max with our cell phone, so I've been watching like stuff on there, which has been great.
Yeah.
But really, I try to spend my time taking in information that I think will be of value and of use to me, not just because it's easy, I think, to read certain things that either go in line with your political affiliations or your beliefs or whatever, and you know, this kind of feel good, you know, you get from social media stuff, but I don't know how useful, or like in 20, 30 years down the road, I don't want to look back in my life and regret I spent too many hours on Facebook or Instagram or whatever when I could have been reading books or playing guitar or lifting weights or, you know, just spending time with friends or family, doing something else, you know? And so my concern is that people are going to get so, maybe not, but my worry is people are going to get so, I mean, we already are so consumed by technology and information.
But I still think, I hear you in general, but it's like people still need jobs. People are still going to be getting jobs. So there's still going to be need for like the need for, maybe now we're talking like, is the concentration of people that like this, we still need like scientists. Those are still going to exist. They're still going to be highly like those fields are still active.
Right.
So I feel like the field you're talking about of idiots is the same field that's always been there.
Well,
maybe.
sure.
Like even like we're like it's just the same people with more information, but it's like it's the same idiots with more information.
Right. Well, I think the thing that will change in our society, I think the thing that will change in our society is that people, we will need to teach the younger generations how to interact and use and learn from the plethora of info out there. You know, because I feel like
is that not partially a teacher's job, teaching like critical thinking and how to apply?
It is. It is. But I think if we look at how technology has evolved so much faster than we have.
Sure.
We still have our lizard brains, man. I mean, really, our caveman brains.
You don't teach young kids, so this probably isn't as big as a. But have you ever thought about, or let me give you this to think about?
Okay.
Us getting to a place where, especially grade school teachers, are at a point where like students think they're. I mean, I'm sure it already happens, but teaching becomes difficult because students think they're smarter than their
Well,
teachers
because they can just Google something
yeah,
and
like,
find
I
it
know
out.
this because I can.
Right.
Like, what do you, for example, history once again. What are you teaching me that I can't just look up? Like, granted, you would
Right.
never look this up on your own.
Right.
So there's that. But.
Well, so in history, you're teaching them two things. I think it's twofold. Number one, you're teaching them about what to find. First of all, like you're teaching them about the battles or the people or whatever that you could Google, I guess, important figures in the 1800s. But then you're going to get all these figures, and then it's like, well, who cares about this one? Why do we need to know about that one? You know what I mean? So that's the first level. The second level then is what to do with that.
I don't know if I trust the American school system to pick the right
Well, I don't
people
either.
for us to be learning about in history.
Well, history itself is kind of an interesting subject to
Sure,
look at.
because it does.
History is always written by the winners.
Right.
It's written by the winners. Yeah. And that's just the case. But the whole thing here with school in general is, you could look these things up, but can you figure that out for yourself? Or okay, so you can find this information, but what conclusions can you draw from it?
Right.
And are the conclusions that you're drawing from the information, are they based in fact or fiction?
Sure.
It's
like, this person was the 23rd U.S. president of the United States, and he was president from 19 blah, blah, blah to 19 blah, blah, blah.
But probably 18 maybe back then. But either way.
But that has but it's like, all right, well, what impact does that person have on society or politics or... Yeah, it's like it doesn't really tell a picture of how they influenced anything or where the knowledge comes in. It's like, all right, now I know that, this person was this kind of leader, so that's why they did that, and it caused them to...
Exactly.
This had to happen in society.
And I don't think... I think facts are a part of knowledge.
Of course.
But facts aren't knowledge. So I think nowadays we are fortunate, especially you and I being in the U.S. with all the great things we can access and find. But at the same time... just being able to access it doesn't necessarily mean that we are getting any smarter or, you know what I mean? So I think we need to, I think my biggest takeaway from this episode is we really need to consider how we live, use, and interact with all of this information. Is it healthy? Is it good for us? Is it making us better people? Is it making the world a better place? Is it making your town better, your country, your society, whatever? I know that sounds very hippie-esque, but I think it's true.
I would argue that the access to information is only good. The more people have access to more information,
but I think we also need to we need to safeguard that, though.
Might not want to know.
Right.
Sure. Yeah. There's obviously intelligence where it's like there's a reason why our yeah, I guess so.
Well, I worry about one day, like if information got too controlled. Because if you control information, in theory, you can kind of control.
Seems easier to control information on a large scale now than like back during book burnings and stuff. Or not easier, but it doesn't seem that much harder. Let me put it that way.
Well,
especially on a national level, it seems pretty easy.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's I think and I think for all of our listeners and just people generally in the world, you should be concerned about that because if you're getting a bunch of information that's being censored, it's being twisted.
This is the information we deem good for you to look at.
Right. You have to be careful.
Yeah.
And I think we can't take it for granted. But I think the people out there who assume just because we have access to the most information so far in human history that we've ever had, I don't think that makes us smarter.
I agree with you.
So that's There's come to my conclusion. Boom, we've solved it, people. We can dust off our hands. We're good to go.
That was easy.
Right. But no, all jokes aside though, I do think we are living in an exciting time with all of the great technology out there. I think the pandemic has forced us to rethink the way we learn. And the information out there and how we interact with it. And I think that will be an important lesson moving forward in the future.
Are you open to being microchipped?
Nope.
Period.
Nope. Not right now. Until you can tell me that it's not going to physically damage my health. Unless you can.
Honestly, that's pretty low on my level of. Well, not.
I don't know. Having something metal, electronic in your body at all times.
Have full skeletal structures redone in like metal and different various silicons
but that's also we've had that in for a while in the medical community.
Sure. That's what I'm saying. Also, people have technology in them already with like heart
whatever, a pacemaker.
Thank you. Yep. So I'm not really concerned about the physical piece, but I'm concerned about that connection between technology.
What are they using it for? Or are they tracking?
What can that thing do? And
what if it sends a shockwave and then it can control your body movements?
And also, world leader Elon Musk is talking about. People are so obsessed with that guy. People are talking about. He's talking about Neuralink, which is I think his idea, which is essentially one of those little chips that has access to all that information,
right?
But then also allows communication with people without actually talking to them,
right? Which is crazy.
So you're kind of just like. Kind of how you can hear yourself in your brain, I imagine.
Right.
I don't know.
I'm not sure. I don't understand the technology well enough, but it's. I mean, it's really fascinating. I really hope people continue to use technology for good.
Good luck. Yeah, I don't know.
We'll see. Well, really, the honest thing is they're going to use technology for whatever will make them the most money.
I love right now. I just realized this episode came out on Thursday. I hope you're enjoying your Thursday. And a lot of vast majority of our listeners are in the U.S. And I just wonder what's happening right now.
Oh yeah, after the election drops. That's true. Oh yeah, we'll see.
This is pre-election we're recording right now, just so you know.
Right.
Just because
True.
we surprisingly haven't mentioned it once. So that's because we have no idea. We have no idea.
We'll see what happens.
Yeah. Hopefully this even makes it to the internet. Who knows?
Right. Yeah. Well, Jared, on that note, some takeaways.
We're not getting smarter. But I do think...
I think we could. We have the potential.
I do think more information or more access to information, now as you did sort of bring me back to reality, but I still think it's a net
You're
positive.
Welcome.
I still think it's a net positive.
I would agree.
I don't think it's hurting.
Right.
Even if it is hard to still, properly
But I think one of the negative effects of all this information is that we have become... impartial to it.
Intelligence, too. I think people believe they're smarter than they are, know more than they really do.
Right, exactly. I would agree. But at the end of the day, you don't know what you don't know, Jared.
Yeah. Man, social media is going to be a very interesting place in the next 10 years with this whole idea of intelligence,
Right. And just our online identities, how that will change.
Especially since we have now, with this current administration specifically, been seeing companies like Twitter and Facebook and Instagram start deploying the sort of "this is not real" feature, where if someone posts something, it'll specifically say this looks like news, but it's not. And I think that
it shows you how easy it is to manipulate information.
Sure, where it's I think that's a good thing, but it's well, why should I trust?
Right.
I trust you because it's some conservative
Do you trust
saying
the Zuck?
Something that seems ridiculous to me.
Right.
But why should I trust this company to tell me what is and isn't real? But then once again, it's well, that's a scary thing where we're going to get to a point where you can't. How do we avoid getting to a place where you can't believe anyone or trust anyone?
Or maybe it just gets to the point, Jared, that we get so advanced with technology that we prove that we are just in a simulation. And
yeah, but if we prove that, then that'd be interesting. I feel have you seen the good? You've seen The Good Place?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, of course.
In the latest season.
I haven't seen the newest one. Don't be spoiling it.
Okay.
Are you talking about isn't it the 4th or 5th season?
The one that's on Netflix. You've seen the 4th? You haven't seen the 4th season?
Maybe I have. Go ahead and spoil.
Chidi's girlfriend, right?
The Eleanor.
She's the professor. No, not Eleanor.
Right. She when he's in Australia, right, or New Zealand or wherever he is.
Yes.
Yeah. She's like a neuroscientist or something, right?
Yeah, she goes to The Good Place, right?
Maybe.
Okay, well, then I'm not going to say.
Okay. All right. Well, stay tuned, listeners, and maybe next episode we'll. No, just tell me.
Okay.
It's fine.
Well, so she's in The Good Place, and
the legit Good Place.
No. Excuse me. She's in The Bad Place.
Okay.
But so you have not seen the newest season clearly, because what it is that they so they find out obviously that it's all fake and all that,
right.
but they have a chance to go to the good place if they can prove that the whole
that
idea
they've improved themselves, right?
Yeah, if they can prove that the whole idea of going to the bad place is kind of stupid because you can't improve yourself. So they put the main characters back into the good place, but they now choose other people that they have brought into the good place that they have to sort of witness them change or sort of aid in their change or whatever.
Right, okay.
One of the people they brought to the good place
was Chidi's girlfriend, who was the neuroscientist.
But Chidi is now, and so Chidi's girlfriend is in the good place.
Okay.
But she is like a highly intelligent sort of neuroscientist or something like that, or some sort of like psychology or something like that, something brainy.
Yeah, something brainy.
So to her, the whole idea of the good place is just a ridiculous like figment of her imagination.
Oh, okay.
So she is acting a fool essentially and acting really ridiculous
because she thinks
she's like this is all just in my it's not
this
real.
Is in my mind, right.
I'm just making this up in my head so I can do anything.
Right.
And so it's ruining their experiment because she's like this isn't even real.
Yeah. Okay. I haven't gone that far, but that's hilarious.
So that's what I feel like we're getting to.
Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Let us know where you think we are getting to at untranslatablepodcast@gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, untranslatable1, the number 1. Also check us out on Instagram, Untranslatable Podcast. And please, 5-star reviews on iTunes and Stitcher. Let us know how we can make this podcast better for you. And also let us know, do you think, are we getting smarter? Are we getting dumber? Is there just more information? Let us know. And with that, as we say here at the Untranslatable Podcast, dziękujemy, muchas gracias, shisha, and dos vidania. Can tell you what though, Jared, people are definitely getting smarter if they're listening to the Untranslatable Podcast.
I agree with that. We did some old school episodes this week.
We did.
It's been a long time since we've done
some long ones too.
I miss it.
Real
I miss
long
it. I don't have a problem with it at all.
Well, that's what happens when you're in person, Jared.
That's true.
You know, and we got a fancy new backdrop.
We've clearly
I definitely need to raise it up so I can actually hang it up later.
Yeah.
But I think for the pod, I'll move it down like this on the old Saturday mornings.
Yeah.
So yeah. Good work, dude. Yeah, good point though about the post-election. We'll see.
Yeah, I was just thinking about that. I was like, oh, that's crazy. We're not even mentioning it. But your prediction is Trump another 4 years.
I hope.
I'm not saying you want that, obviously.
Right. I worry somehow that's going to be the end result.
You know what my prediction is?
What?
Blue wave.
A blue wave. I hope so. We'll see. We'll see if you're right, Jared. I think that red sun is just gonna evaporate that blue wave somehow. Oh man.
Just
we'll see.
engulf the wave in it.
Right. We'll see.
Dude.